Hi, just getting set up. It's Rosie. You'll be able to hear me. And the for you, so you've got something to look at. You might be able to see on the screen. Now, usually for this kind of format of a conversation, it would be me talking to you and you listening. But because this isn't a webinar, it's actually more a focus group and a chat. If you have capability, then I'm more than happy for you to actually talk to me and talk to each other. So could either say or write in the chat bar whether you're happy to do that. If you prefer to just use the chat box, then I'm absolutely fine with that too. I just want to make it as accessible as possible for you. So just decide whether you want to use the chat box or whether you want to talk like I'm doing now.
Hi, happy to talk. Is from LA.
Hi.
Yeah, to talk. It's Tim from Derby.
To talk. It's Antonia from Leeds.
Who haven't responded, which makes me think that they can't hear me. So, Annie, Becky, Sarah. The problem when we first start trying to get the technology to work properly. Here, if you could just write down in the chat box your name, your role, and which union you're from, that would be really helpful. Please excuse my cough. I've got a horrible cough that won't go away. So. We'll just give it a couple of minutes for people to make sure everything's working. Waiting for Jasmine to come back in because I told her to log out and log back again because somehow that seems to work. If you want to use the time just to introduce yourselves, you're welcome to get a pen and paper that you want to write down. I am recording this and I'll send this recording out to all of you. If you could pop your email address in the chat box too, or send it to me privately if you prefer. I'll make sure it goes to the right email email address because sometimes the system doesn't record emails very well, which is useful. Lovely today. So you can introduce yourself, pop that email address. I'll make sure that once we've finished chatting, I send you a recording. In a moment, what's going to happen after that. It's fun because you all get to have a chat rather than me just talk at you, which is lovely. Feel a bit like a radio show. Yay, Jasmine can hear. Hi, Jasmine. Can we hear you? Do you want to try and say hi? Oh, we can't hear Jasmine. That's okay. For those of you that have capability to chat and who do have a microphone, you're welcome to chat using your mics and actually talk to me. Just be mindful of the people who can't talk on microphone and let people know on the chat bar and what they're saying. So let's get started. If you can make sure that you've introduced yourself and your name, your role and which you're from, as you're doing now. I'm Rosie Hunnam. I'm the Student Opportunities Coordinator at NUS. Hopefully you'll have seen this focus group on the Student Activities GISC now. One of my roles at NUS is thinking about skills and employability work. So we've had a lot of work been done on this anyway because of our prior campaign last year, which was around work, and we did lots of work with different sector partners. What we want to do next is some guidance about ability and about skills. On the slides you'll be able to see. So today's purpose of today's chat is for you to learn from each other. Hopefully you'll be able to have a good chat with each other and what each of you do, but also to help me in writing a resource for the Student Opportunities. So there are lots of examples going on in student unions now to do skills and employability and skills development stuff. I know the second is less of a priority for this conversation, but I think there will be some learning here for me because I'm designing a leadership program for club captains, vice presidents, RAG chairs, volunteer project leaders, so those people that aren't sabbatical officers but leading student groups in your unions. They're going to be running a pilot program of this in February, March time, and I'm currently deciding what that is. And that is around skills development, and it's key at this point to flag that we're not going to replace what you do in student unions through that program. Hi Annie. But trying to support, because we have a lot of requests from you asking for support with skills development, for NUS to come in and do talks in your unions and that kind of thing. So we're trying to work out a way that we can help those leaders without stepping on your toes. So talking about skills and the stuff that you're doing in your unions, hopefully there'll be some learning for me there. So you just make sure that you've introduced yourself in the chat bar. In a minute, I'm basically going to pose some questions to you. And usually in a webinar like this, it would just be me talking at you and then contributing through the chat bar. I'm more just a piece to talk to each other and to me, microphone capability. Everybody who doesn't have microphone capability, just write down your thoughts in the chat and I'll make sure that you answer them. So, let's get started. My question is, what you think employability is? So to you personally. Start. Okay. Jasmine's ready to do your job. Yeah.
Rosie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I say that, yeah, it's about supporting our students getting a job, that making sure that they're in the best position once they graduate in their dream job or their career that they're wanting to progress into.
Do you agree with that statement? Yeah. Does anyone just go on to add anything? Yeah, I agree. Okay, we'll move on. These are the kind of the starting questions. So, in thinking about comparison to what you think it means, what do you think it means to your students? Is there a difference? The same. Okay, similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't think students like the phrase? Do you want to expand on not thinking the students like the phrase? Sorry, excuse my cough.
I disagree with the point that students don't seem to like the phrase. I've found that in every single situation, the moment you start sort of framing with employability, students are turned off and they could want to know anything else, really.
Okay. And agree with what Danielle's just said about that it's used a lot and sometimes can be too vague.
Yeah.
If your students don't necessarily like that term, is there a way that you talk about it with your students? Sorry.
Sorry, Rosie. I was going to say that employability is quite like a safe term to use, I think, because it kind of encompasses so much. It's like it does cover a lot of things. So I can find that if you kind of delve into it, you can find yourself talking about all sorts of, just about not skills but experiences. So that's why I sometimes feel like it's a safety net type of phrase to use, because it kind of encompasses everything that you're on about. So if I was explaining it to students, I'd just try and break it down into the different areas, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, Derby, we do that. So we talk about getting a job, we talk about getting experiences, building your skills up, and they tend to listen to that more. Employability is thrown around by so many different departments in the university that they switch off when they hear it.
Okay. Seems to be quite a common thing to happen with all of you, which is interesting. Do you think it's students from engaging with employability activities because they don't understand the term or they like the term?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's sometimes a bit catch-22 because it does exactly what it says on the tin. I mean, if the student is looking for an employability session, then they know where they're going. Sometimes you can overthink it and potentially end up knowing what you mean.
Okay. Sorry.
I think that a lot of our students would, if they're looking for employability skills, they don't come to us. Even if they're already engaged with us, if they're looking for that, they go to the Careers and Employment Service.
Well, that moves me on to, I think we've probably covered the next question, but so what does it mean to your university or college? And that, if you can start talking about that role that the university or college plays in comparison to the SU.
I suppose from an SU point of view, all the things that we're doing are inevitably helping students towards becoming more employable, because gaining all these skills and experiences and qualifications through the different things that we provide, through our activities, our clubs and societies, through our volunteering opportunities and through our democracy and representation positions.
And that's the same focus for us. So our employability, the stuff that we do is based around how we accredit our students that are already involved with us and to ensure that their employability that they gain with us are brought out and that they're made aware of those and they're able to use those and talk about those when they actually go for jobs in later life.
I think sometimes that our students don't realise that they can use these things to help them when it comes to them get a job, and it's making them realise that through the award schemes and things that we put in place.
Mhm. Okay. Well, move on to the next bit. And these questions are really just to help you. Oh, so put in a big chunk. That's helpful. And I'll just have a look at this now. I'm getting annoyed. Yeah, if these were just to help us have a conversation about this, so feel free to kind of, even though what you want to say isn't directly relevant to the question, that's okay. So we'll go. So I've put here, what does your SU do to support your students' employability? I'm really interested in hearing you sharing some of the stuff that you already do. So it would be really good if the people who haven't got microphones could just type furiously and explain, just in bullets, it's fine, what you currently run. Whether that is something that is bespoke and designed just for developing ability, developing skills, or it's stuff that you do alongside your activities, so whether that's that you run something alongside your societies, for example, or your sports clubs get to take part in something extra. Give us an overview and then we can have a chat about what other people do and what doesn't work. So if you've not got a microphone, you could be writing that down, and then if I'd like it if everybody could just give like a couple of points about what they do. So if someone who has got a microphone start.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
So our main focus on employability is through the Futures Award, which we run jointly with the Careers and Employment Service. Basically, it's an accreditation award that focuses on employability skills, and through self-reflection, we ask our students to actually focus on employability. Run employability workshops, basically workshops based around the skills they may be getting or may need to develop as part of their roles, but also focusing that within how they can use those skills once they've left. So it's very much focused around their roles and what they already do with us. Do you want me to? So is it? Yeah. So that's what we do.
Is it a sabbatical priority?
So it's managed through the employability and volunteering team, which includes societies, etc. It is an officer party in terms of that it sits with the Vice President student community in theory, but in practice, you don't really get involved with it.
Okay. Just a testing the water kind of thing. Can you just put yes in the text box? Employability is in some way featured in your organisation's strategic planning.
Yeah, I can do that.
Good. To go on from Tim and talk about what happens in your SU.
Happy to, Rosie. At LSE, we basically have a bespoke employability and development program, which is kind of born out of our activities team, so sports and societies and stuff. And it came from an interesting relationship we had with our careers department. Kind of a way to link those two things, but we offer like sessions on public speaking and event management, like negotiating conflicts in a team. And it's directed at student leaders and volunteers, but anyone can come along. Like ad hoc one-offs, you need to come to all of them, but you can come to some.
Okay. And I would say at this point, if someone talking about what happens in their SU, like Alex and Tim have, and one has a question about something, then please feel free to ask it, because that's just helpful to my purposes, and I want you to get something out of it too. So, okay, so Alex and Tim told us about theirs. I'm just going to do a bit of a summary so far of what people have said in the chat bar, because everyone's putting some really good stuff in there. So Antonia's talked about leads and how it's built into volunteering, so employability building activities in volunteering. And the secondary role is raising students' awareness that these are in their employability. I think the thing that's interesting that at the time, like we know that it's really good for them and that it should be on their CV and that it will help them get a job. But at the time, the students participating don't necessarily know that or realise. Is anybody doing anything around that? Okay.
Sorry, just to recap, do you mean raise awareness?
Yeah, not only doing new stuff, but doing things to help them realise what they're doing is valuable.
We've just launched for the first time this year some scheduled sessions with our careers and employability service. We're calling them training career planning sessions that we're hosting throughout the year, about 4 of them at the moment in time. We're just going to see how they roll out. But why we are inviting all our student volunteers to come along to have a session delivered by the volunteering team and the careers team about how they can actually translate and transfer the skills and experiences that they've gained through their volunteering into a job application, CV or job interview, like bringing those skills and experiences to life. So we're putting that message through all our channels, through our clubs and societies, through our course reps, union council members, etc., and all volunteers that help on campus and in the community.
That's something that we also do through the Futures Award. So to actually get the award, you actually have to look at some of the skills you've gained in your role, and then say how you would how you would place those in a job application.
Okay.
Also run something similar. I think it was to him who first spoke about award. We run an award scheme called Student Leadership Awards, and that's particularly aimed at student leaders. Again, those students who are actively involved and engaged in all our channels through the SU. And we've got different levels of that award. And again, it is about what you mentioned about them reflecting upon their experience and skills that they've gained through the stuff that they're doing to attain this award at the end of the year.
Sounds like we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
What else running an award?
Just to start with, I'd be really interested to hear sort of how many students you get through your award and sort of how that the students value it.
Well, this is the only second year we've done the award, and last year we were relying on the Careers and Employment Service to deliver the online side of it, and it wasn't as successful. So last year we got through only 17 students. However, we've got over 400 students signed up. Whether they complete it or not would be a different matter.
Well, that's fantastic. That sounds really, really good. So that's working directly with the career department as well?
Yeah. So the Futures Award is run across the university in different strands. I've taken on a strand of that, but we are by far the biggest strand. And it was very independently developed, so each strand is completely independent of the other in terms of its development.
Our careers department are very, very reluctant to run a sort of careers award century. They sort of don't see the value in doing that at all. So kind of like how much we go against them or not. It's an interesting line to keep between what careers want and what we want all the time. But yeah, it sounds really, really good.
It's going well so far, he says.
Interested in what Antonia said about it being something that you'd expect the university to do. Could you chat about that a bit?
Oh, it's probably easy if I speak, which I haven't been doing yet. I think for us, the decision that we've had to make is one around resources. So we're, I suppose, making decisions around what we think we can reasonably do as the union and things that we really want to kind of lobby and influence the university to do. And the decision that we've basically made is that that we're going to focus on our existing, our kind of engaged members, so reps and volunteers and club and society committee members and people that are already kind of doing quite a lot within the union. We think that we can really support their employability, but we don't see it as our role to deliver wider kind of employability services across the whole student body. So where things are applicable to all students, we're using our influence to kind of lobby for the right type of activities to be delivered, but not delivered by us. So I suppose that's a distinction that we've made based on our kind of limited resources.
I think one of the main reasons that we're driving forward in supporting, I'm afraid to use the word now, but supporting our students' employability is because it is one of our strategic aims, to support students' development. So I don't know what our resources are in contrast to your own, but it's part of our strategic aims of our plan to focus in that area.
Likewise.
Okay, I'm going to move through the questions, but if you want to carry on talking about this, then that's all right. I'm hoping we'll get through the structured questions and then we can have just more an open chat about anything else that's relevant. So my next question is, and I think we've covered this a little bit, but it's worth talking about a bit more. How do you work with your institution on employability? Now, and that's a question, but that could, and I've two got there, so within the curriculum, and then within the curricular stuff, what do you do with them? And I'd be really interested to hear about also, Sarah's mentioned about HERE accreditation. So if people want to talk about HERE, the Higher Education Achievement Report, in the section, then that would be good too.
We do anything within the curriculum per se. In terms of the HERE, you have to get the Futures Award to get on the HERE for most of our roles. But we've been doing the HERE for a number of years prior to that. That's through one of our universities.
And so, in terms of HERE, where are you?
So before the Futures Award, we had a full developed HERE programme, which recognised all of our roles. However, we've basically transformed that into the Futures Award, so that the Futures Award is our way of monitoring what the students are doing, the things that they need to be doing to get onto the HERE. So what obviously we don't do is we don't just credit students just because they've got the role. We credit them because they've done something in the role. And the Futures Award is a way of us actually monitoring what they've done throughout the year.
Okay.
We've got a lot of things on the HERE. I don't know how that happened, but there's a great big long list of sort of union activities that are on the HERE. Things you would probably expect, but I was quite surprised actually when I saw it how extensive it was. I don't know what the criteria is for things going on here.
Okay. And is anyone doing anything apart from kind of lobbying advocacy around embedding stuff in the curriculum? This was a question from one of the officers at Durham who wanted to be part of this conversation but couldn't. About he had four things, but I think he meant almost like it is advocacy about getting stuff to do with mobility embedded within the curriculum. Thoughts on that?
From a previous life at Exeter, not necessarily here, they're looking at these sort of grand challenges modules, which are like these sort of specific modules that are different from the normal sort of academic modules. And the idea there was potentially like linking union activity and volunteering in with these sort of accredited academic sort of write-ups. So you can earn credits for your volunteering with the union or that sort of thing.
That's interesting.
We're called Derby the sense that they have a really strong focus on employability. So in that sense, it's already well quite embedded into the courses.
Move to the next question. We've got some stuff coming out of this, which we can talk at the end. Okay, so talking more specifically around thinking skills development programs. So this comes through with your awards that you do. Some student unions run separate skill development activities of some sort. I'm interested to hear what you do. And also, I think this is a really good place for you to ask you questions, because I know that a lot of the people I've spoken to before this chat have been really interested in how other unions do it. This is also quite relevant to the student leadership programme that I'm designing at the moment. So I'll have a chat about it, and then I can ask you a bit more about the leadership programme, if that's all right. So the question I've got on there are what value do skills development programs have? But I think that's probably a bit too obvious as a question. And what else do you do to recognise student skills, knowledge and experience? But it would be good if you could just talk about different skills development activities that you do. I haven't already talked about that. And I think Douglas has written something helpful here around student leaders with a development programme, which is really interesting. And you get an external provider to do that. I'd be keen to hear, Douglas, why you chose to have an external provider. Nothing wrong with it, but it's really interesting to see the logic there. If it was to start by sharing something that they do in their union, or perhaps a question that you have for each other on this.
We don't really run any skill development programs as such alongside our student leadership award. We do run workshops throughout the year in supporting students in how to submit the perfect portfolio, or how they can attain each level of the award, because we've got it tiered in bronze, silver, gold levels, and a vice chancellor level for outstanding or exceptional achievements or evidence that's provided. In the workshops, what we've realised in the previous years when we've run this award scheme, which used to be named something else and was ran a little differently, we've made some amendments and redeveloped it this year for a few reasons. But in the past, the applications that were submitted, the quality of them, the writing was really poor. So we've decided to focus the workshop, the sessions that we run throughout the year for the Leadership Award around the quality of writing, but also the details of how to submit the perfect portfolio and what they need to do to achieve each level.
And how many did you have to go through that?
Well, like I just mentioned, it's quite funny actually, because the responsibility of this award is only just passed on to the volunteering team. It's to be part of the democracy and representation's responsibility to care for this award. But I'm aware that they struggled with the number of applications that they had last year. I think we actually only awarded 40 people with awards. So we have redeveloped the award scheme this year, and so far the response that we've got is really good. We've already hosted a workshop which was well attended, and we've got another one a week after next, which has already got quite a few sign-ups to it. So it's a promising start to this year for the award. Fingers crossed.
Chat going on in the chat box. Just to share what they do.
Sorry, I'm coughing fit, but I can do. Aside from the award, we also do an officer development programme for our part-time officers in particular. But aside from that, we don't really do anything. Everything else is put through the award. I can talk about the officer development programme if people are interested. But it's very similar to the sort of thing we do for officer trustees as well. What's that? cough everywhere. I'm going to have to stop talking.
I keep moving to yeah. In your officer development program, you said that's for part-time officers.
So,
That's for part-time officers.
yeah.
Who is that?
We have 20 odd different part-time officer positions. It's run across the union, so the various different staff members that so if it's the sports officer or the ethics diversity officer, for example, different departments will actually be responsible for running that. However, it is coordinated overall by the employability and volunteering department.
Does anyone else want to talk about this? The questions for each other about this?
I guess something that might be really helpful going forward might be to have like all those that have got the leadership programs, just maybe like best examples they've got and how they've structured that in one place, or would it just be best to email them and find out?
That's I think if people have it on an open website that you don't need a login for, if you could share that in the chat area, the website that holds the information. Also, if anybody, I was going to say this at the end, but it's fine to say, if anybody wants to some kind of like a case study of what they do for this resource, so that I have almost like a collection of different ways of doing it, then that would be really good. It's really helpful being able to look at other people's resources. But we'll move on because I've got some stuff to talk about with you at the end and to ask about. Oh, here we are. Well, that's my contact details. So what I wanted to ask you now was that, so you joined this conversation and it's really helpful to me, but I'm hoping that you'll help each other to answer any specific questions that you have too. Sorry. I'm so sorry. So if everyone could just think of one question that they want to ask these other 8 people around of employability, skills, awards programs, leadership programs. For a few minutes, we'll talk about answering some of those questions. And think also around, so I'm running this resource that's going to be sent out to all student unions. What is it that you think they need to know, and what is it that you want to know from that resource?
I've got a question, which is just on like groups leading it themselves. So we have an absolute shed load of like careers-focused societies that are often incredibly helpful, but at times do exactly the same thing careers are doing on very similar dates, and that kind of strains our relationship. Does anyone have that problem as well, or have they learnt to cope with that problem?
I might be typing an answer, but if anyone wants to speak and answer, that would be cool. Yes, we do too, exclamation mark. You said that employability focused societies and all this is interesting. It is interesting. And a lot of times talking to Bright Futures nationally, they do some really good stuff, but Alex, this does come up a lot with kind of the clashing. Do you want to answer?
I'm interested in knowing if anybody else endorses any external qualifications to recognise students' input of, the things that they're doing. For example, we're looking into identifying external accreditations that we can look for to promote to our volunteers. So, for example, I don't know off the top of my head, the Queen's Voluntary Service, maybe like Duke of Edinburgh, things like that. If anybody else endorses any other accreditations that they can perhaps make aware of.
We don't, but it's something that we're also looking into.
But we can share anything that we come up with each end.
Yeah, definitely.
Does it do that? Looking into becoming an island centre, okay. I find that interesting because that's one of the things that leaders in the US leadership programme. What is it, Becky and Tim, anyone else that's kind of looking into that? Is it that you want from an external? Because that might be something that NUS can provide through the leadership programme. And it probably calls a leadership programme at the end of the day, so don't worry about the awful name.
I think we can pursue something that's actually recognised by people outside, because although we have this award, and the award is accredited by the university, no one really outside of it, if you talk to employers, they don't understand it, and they want to be able to understand it, which has been our big problem with developing the award, because we've had to deal within the university's language, which doesn't always help us. And I think we're looking at ways that we can actually give something that's meaningful to our students. So while we really value the stuff we're doing with the award, we realise that perhaps employers don't always recognise the value of it.
I was going to say, I definitely agree with you there. That's definitely one point why we're looking into other awards as well. Not only just to give more options for our students to sign up to stuff or recognise the things that they're doing, but definitely, we are working in partnership with the university and the Careers Employability Service to add more prestigiousness, to the award, and we're also making sure that the judging panels that judge applications that come in do include employers in the community to try and again add more prestige to the award. You're right, there's only to a certain extent or limit that we feel that gets recognised by in future potential employers in the community.
Okay.
Okay. To run a separate training activity, or we want them to almost batch or accredit what you currently do?
We'd rather that they had to accredit in the long run. What would you do?
Yeah, just look to endorse what they do and promote it and have links to site to students to be able to sign up to it, and we would promote it actively throughout the year.
Yeah, definitely accreditation. We already work with a lot of external people that come in, and it might be difficult to bring more and more people when we're working with our careers department as well. So yeah.
Douglas has asked, does anyone have a bright future society? So just say yes or write yes if you do. And you don't, say why you don't.
I didn't hear the question.
Douglas has asked if anyone has a bright future society, and if you do, just say or pop it down. If you don't, say why not.
No, we don't.
Don't either.
Okay. I'm just looking for written questions. Antonia has asked, is anyone linking what they do with student volunteers with student staff? I more understand what you mean by linking. If you
I just meant from an employability point of view, because we're trying to bring those two groups together because essentially they're the same population and they're all engaging in this kind of employability building activity, be it paid or unpaid, within the union. So we're looking at bringing those two groups together a bit more, so that if we're offering something around kind of enhancing their employability, that's offered to all of those individuals, not just the volunteers. So just whether anyone else was looking at that.
Radio silence. Anyone?
We've started to make sure that our volunteers are made aware of student vacancies that come out. I think that's something fairly new that we started to do, only because we're starting to create more job vacancies.
Do anything while giving your volunteers and your student staff similar or advice, training? Not okay. And who hasn't asked a question yet? Do you have a question that you want to ask each other? As I'm picking up some noise from you, but I can't hear you clearly. Another question for each of you to ask. Alright, bye. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Do you have a question?
Not quite really. I was just trying to get onto this. Really, I've been trying for the last half hour. I'm at home.
Oh, we can hear you now. That's great.
That's good. Yeah. I'm at home. I've just recently had a baby, but I couldn't miss out on this.
Oh, brilliant! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your baby must be learning a lot about employability.
Yeah.
Do you have any other things you think are important questions that you might not be able to have answered by each other, but you want me to look into when writing this resource up and try and find out answers? They might be really specific little things, or massive things, or might be stuff that you just want examples of from other unions.
Speaking, I was quite interested in something I've researched that I think it's Bath and Hertfordshire are doing around student peer trainers.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and because basically I'm looking at trying to launch something similar for next year in our training opportunities program, where we try and get other students to help with delivering the training program as well, and obviously that's a lot of training as well, that they'll get like a train the trainer thing. Yes, basically like resources and how other people are doing it, and if people are looking into it. That'll be quite interesting to find out.
I give some background context to that. So
okay.
I believe that Bath and Hertfordshire has built that program on an old NUS program called NSLP, your Student Learning Partnership, and that was, I believe it was something ran in the late 90s, based on the branding. The branding is very 90s. With delivered training to students who were trained trainers, and they would then go and deliver the same training to their peers. I believe that's kind of what those two schools in Bath and Hertfordshire are based on.
Yeah, they look very similar, yeah.
So, and that's really interesting, because one of the options that I'm proposing for the NUS leadership program is that we bring back that work, but we refresh it, and we include a trainer for staff as well. So the idea would be that the staff members would be trained by NUS, and so you're like a senior trainer, and then you train a number of students as well, and then they train their peers.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good model.
Yeah, it's interesting because it did work well in the past. Was there anything in terms of like peer-to-peer training? No.
We've looked into it as well, but like the university themselves, they share loads of this as well. So it's just finding, and that would be really appropriate to be not duplicating the things that the university are already doing in terms of like academic peer support or like pastoral peer support. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds quite interesting, Alex, because at our university as well, we have they call, I'm pretty sure some other institutions they've got like placement reps. So they're to help other students. So they've gone to placement, and then they come back to uni after their placement year, and then they'll start helping the first and second years, especially the second years, who will be looking for placement, and tell them about their own experiences and what they did and what they had to go through in order to go to their placement and what they learned on their placement. There is that already going on at our institution within the university, and that's completely. It's not consistent through all our departments, but it happens. I think it is. It's about how we can. I think the niche for us is more or less about how students can help within our own soft skills like program, really, in doing those kind of things, rather than looking at as a wider subject. Really, I think we're looking more for soft skills. Is what I think I would probably go down the route of, rather than ability as a wide agenda.
And that's what the NSLP program did. It was mostly focused around problem-solving skills and management and kind of really things like it wasn't necessarily around peer mentoring so much. Just as a question, kind of moving on from that, if I was to provide a model like that, what do you think the next should be? What do you think train junior students to be able to deliver?
I think it's more around the how to deliver a session. I think content-wise, I think it's really good if students come up with certain particular content they want to deliver, for example. I think they need the basic knowledge of how to deliver the session, design, and then and all the rest of it. When it comes to actual subjects they can actually deliver, I think it's more exciting from a union perspective to see how other students can develop other sessions, and I think it also keeps it current and fresh rather than us just telling them, this is what you have to deliver.
One suggestion we've had is that we compile training in liberation areas, so women, black students, LGBT and disabled students, and design introduction to liberation training. That's probably something that we would want staff to deliver rather than students. What is that?
I think those are good things, obviously, because those are the core functions what Students' Union does, really. So I think, if you have students who can deliver that, that's perfect. I think it goes along the same lines as well. If societies and sports clubs, you can place where committees are actually delivering sessions to their own people within the club or society, or if it's a volunteering program, they're delivering certain skills workshops to their own volunteering project team. It's fantastic, and I think it's similar with liberation groups and other representational structures within the union. Yeah, definitely.
Any other thoughts on what sort of content NUS could produce that would be helpful to you?
It's on how to measure impact on this sort of thing. I mean, I know it's inherently difficult because, like, as we're getting like Delhi scores and tracing that back to what the student union is able to achieve, that's going to be really difficult. But like, maybe sort of framework of impact measurement for this sort of activity.
I know something that I'm really keen for us to do for the first time this year is to track and chip perhaps some of our students that have achieved our Student Leadership Award, or just our students that have volunteered in whatever stream in the Students' Union, to see how quickly they secure employment once they graduate, just to see, I don't know, there'd be lots of different things to look into to make sure that it was actual volunteering that aided them in that, but just to try and measure that if we can somehow. I'm really keen to explore that.
Okay.
I'd be able to get hold of the data. I just don't know how easy it actually is to measure that impact in that sense.
I'm trying to brainstorm a way of how we can go about it.
I thought this meeting till 4:30, but I don't think we need to run till 4:30. So we'll still round up. But does anyone have any other questions that they want to ask of each other?
Question.
Great.
Well, this is going back to awards, basically.
That's it.
Basically, do other SUs working with the institution find it's easy to verify students who do external volunteering and they use that as part of their award? Because at Hallam, our Hallam Award, we don't accept students who just solely do external volunteering as something that's eligible for them to do the award. For them to do the award, they have to be volunteering within the students' union or the university in some capacity. But if they're doing any volunteering outside the union or the university, they won't do the Hallam Award. I know that there's quite a number of awards out there which includes that as their eligibility and criteria. Just wondering how they manage that, basically.
Really interesting one. Our thoughts on that is that we're going to ask students, as and when we raise that issue, to provide evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps if, for example, the supervisor of that volunteering opportunity, whatever it may be, provided a statement, or they provided some evidence like a photograph of some sort, just some evidence that proved that they say that they're doing what they say they're doing, basically.
And what do you think? Because I've been trying to think of an easy way of getting verification, and I've looked at because I'm trying to go a little bit more electronic, and in the hope that we can grow or increase our Hallam Award uptake, registrations and completion. But I looked at using PebblePad as a way of running Hallam Award. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that, and how, if they have, what kind of an experience that is.
So, what did you say the program was?
For us, it's the actual software. Sorry.
Yeah.
PebblePad.
I used that when I worked at Swansea University Student Union, and I didn't like it, and the students didn't like it that much either.
Okay.
Quite clunky. it was okay to administrate, but there were lots of things they had to click through to get where they needed to be.
Okay.
Our award is joint with the university, so to answer a couple of your questions, Douglas, it's jointly with the university, so external volunteering is done through the university side of the award, so we don't have to touch it. Although we are developing, because we also have an FE college as part of the university, we're developing an award that will cover that, and we're going to do it very much in the same way that Becky's doing it. In terms of software, because the university set it up, we use their Careers Hub software. Well, we will be using their Careers Hub software when they finally got it sorted. At the minute, we're still using their basically functioning as a university module. We'll be moving to Career Hub, and that's going to allow the students, so then they'll have one employability hub where they go to. So if they want to book a careers advice, they'll go to Career Hub. If they want to do the award through the Students' Union or through another part of the university, then they'll also be able, all the information will be tailored on their own Career Hub page. So they'll upload all their data, all their evidence, everything they do will be uploaded through that system, and also allow us to monitor what they're doing as well. I can't tell how good it is because I've only seen the demo, and we're sort of running in an interim phase. But this time next we'll be able to tell you how it's going once the university's got it set up.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to find out.
Tim, are there any sort of arguments you made to get your things onto the Career Hub? Is there like a good argument for that partnership?
We were very lucky in the sense that they didn't want us to run a separate award at the time we were starting to do an award. We were starting to look into doing an award. And because we were a union with limited resources, when they offered it to us rather than the other way around. So I didn't have to do much talking to get myself on there. It does mean that we are tied into it, and therefore, as we've developed the award, we have been tied into to a certain extent what the university wants from it. But for us, with limited resources, it's worked quite well. If that answers your question.
Yeah.
Annie has written. I think Annie means that it would be good to share in the resource that I'm writing a list of example awards from other unions. I think that is really valuable. It would be really helpful to me if you all could, for those of you that do awards, if I send you kind of a template of what information I need, if you could send that back to me so that I'm starting point for these awards, because I think that's more valuable than anything actually, that being able to see what each of you do. So yeah, thanks for that. It's a good idea. A couple of putting in links to your awards or links to your skills pages. That's really helpful as well. Do you have any other questions for each other or any questions for me?
I like to ask questions, sorry.
No, don't worry.
I'm just wondering what everybody's thoughts on what they see the future of things like employability, skills development being, and like in the next 3 to 5 years. Do we think that students will find relevant anymore, or do we see that the university is going to take more and more of that on, taking away from the union? And how technology can be used really going forward to help students around employability? Just a question.
That's a question.
I think for us, we started a new strategic plan, and it's a key part of our strategic plan. And the reason for that is because when we were talking to students, although they don't like the term employability, they're very concerned about getting a job when they finish. And I think, the job market's picking up again. Not in any way we'd like it to, but it is, and hopefully the economy will continue to recover. And if that continues, then I think, we are going to have more and more of a focus on that. particularly if we start to falter again. So I think for us, it's going to be a continued priority, because our students are still coming to us and saying that, you know, they've been getting a job finished, they're worried about that, and they do seem to be clicking onto it a little bit earlier than perhaps a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
In terms of the university is going to move forward, I think the university is going to continue to see it as a priority on our side, and if that happens, then, you know, that will happen. Then I think, you know, there is the danger that they could try to take more and more from us. In terms of technology, I'm crap at technology, I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. I think potentially the way that the university will always view it, kind of get a lot of university stuff on partnership. It's all about relationships, and if they view us as a threat, then they'll probably end up taking a lot more away. I think it's going to go by any means. I think students are absolutely more and more career focused. One interesting thought that sort of led me to think was around something that might be really useful in the report, was around like the international student complexion as well, and their views of the university's sort of skills development programs and the union's skills development are sort of different.
Really interested in that. We're having some problems with international students because the university is really pushing the here, and so everything goes on the here, and they're not getting, because other employers abroad don't recognise it, and really struggling to get their transcripts through. It's taking them a long time, just as an observation.
Interesting. I know in Swansea they've just managed to get, this is really early, so sorry for everyone, they've just managed to get recognition for years to be recognised as diploma supplements, which means that they're valid outside of the UK.
Okay.
I think in terms of looking at future trends, I think that's probably going to happen everywhere, which will solve the problem for some of your international people. Okay. Does anyone have any other thoughts on Douglas's question about the future stuff? Is there anything you think I should be flagging as area for development in my resource? And I'm not going to be writing this, so I'm going to be starting writing next week. So if you have any further thoughts once you've finished on this conversation and you go, oh, I wish I'd told Rosie that, or I have another burning question, then my contact details are on the payment review. Someone have anything else they want to finish up with before we stop?
Get that last part.
Does you have any other questions or anything else they want to say before we finish?
No.
Make sure that you put your email addresses in the chat box to make sure that I do have them, so I can tell you afterwards. What I'm going to do now is listen to our conversation again, because I'll have recorded it. I'll send you the recording as well, just so you have it. You might not ever want to listen to it, but you might. If you're happy, I will include you in the resource and say thank you to you for being my focus group for this conversation. If you need to do that, then just send me an email saying I'd rather not be included in that. All I'll say is thank you to blah 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 for helping me with this all. So if you don't want me to do that, that's absolutely fine. Just email me and let me know that you don't want me to do that. If anybody is interested in reading the draft resource and telling me if it's any good and sending me any suggestions, then let me know if you'd be interested in doing that.
Happy to.
Oh, great, thanks.
Did too, sorry, Rosie.
great. Right, if you write in the chat that you're happy to, then I'll know exactly who it is that wants to have a look at it before it goes public. Yeah, got any other links that you want to put in for each of us?
Yeah, happy to.
What I'll do is that when I start writing, I will get in touch with all of you and ask you for case studies of stuff if you've got anything that you'd like to put into the book. If you have questions or other stuff that you think I should include, then email me those, or my phone number's on the screen as well. I'm more than happy to have a chat with you on the phone after. Just voicemail, because I'm doing training all week next week, so I may well be talking about risk assessment in York or Cheltenham. Anything you want to say?
That was much appreciated from everybody. Really good to a lot of people who are doing stuff around employability and skills development. It's really interesting, and we can do more of it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this resource will answer lots of niggly questions and will help share what's going on in student unions at the moment. And I really appreciate all of your contributions, because it's very helpful to me to make sure that what I'm writing is going to be helpful to you. So thank you all for giving up and a bit of your time, because I know you're all really busy and it's Friday afternoon. So thank you much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll send you all the recording once I've made it work on YouTube, so you can listen to it. And feel free to, if there's any of your colleagues that you'd like to listen to it, because it's super fun listening, then you can, by means, share that with colleagues. That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.